Thanks for joining us on Politics HQ today. We have two broad conversations and we'll be going straight into them. First, is Governor Fubara of Rivers State about to dump the party, the PDP? Well, this is a conversation and a debate that is going on the streets of Nigeria at the moment, but we'll delve into the real matters shortly. And then next, we'll be looking at Kaduna State Governor El-Rufai's struggle for survival or to evade the panel that is being set up to investigate his tenure as governor of Kaduna State. We'll be getting into that shortly or later on in the program, but right now, let's head to Rivers State, where the governor, Fubara, has had rough times in the last weeks and months dealing with issues, domestic issues as a matter of fact. Just 2 days ago, or yesterday, a bomb was detonated somewhere in the state. Well, we hear that the man who is suspected to be behind that is right now in hospital because he had been the only victim of what he plotted. Well, many people will say that this is good justice, if I'm allowed to use that phrase, but we'll get to find out what is going on. But we are right now being joined on the show by someone who understands the politics of Rivers, Dr. Gift Worlu. He's a member of the People's Democratic Party and former commissioner in Rivers State. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Worlu.
Thank you for yielding your platform to me.
You have a lot of knowledge and information about what is going on in Rivers. But first, let's start from the beginning. Rivers State had become a state people will refer to as the rivers of trouble. Because every moment, every day, since the last 3 months or even more than that, there's not been a day, there's no story from Rivers, and some of them not too pleasant. Tell us, what is the root of all of these things from your own perspective?
Okay. First, I want to correct an impression. Rivers State is not rivers of troubles. It is actually rivers of possibilities. And it is rivers of hope and joy. Now, as you all know, before, during, and immediately after the election in 2023, Rivers State was known for the harvest of projects under the governorship of His Excellency Senatorial Ewor. Nigerians from far and near were invited to witness the commissioning and flag off of different projects in Rivers State. And that culminated in the award of the best governor in infrastructure on the governor of Rivers State, Ewor, by the APC-led federal government because of the phenomenal work that he had done in Rivers State, changing the skyline of the state, bringing about an infrastructure revolution not seen in any other part of this country. And the party had planned that there will be a continuation of that after his tenure. And that is why during the campaigns, the mantra was consolidation and continuation of the New Rivers vision that was orchestrated by the government of Senatorial Ewor. Now, upon the emergence of Governor Fubara as governor of Rivers State, we expected, like I said, we expected that things would have continued on that trajectory. That by now, we'll be talking about projects that are going on, being completed, flagging off of new projects, and other programs that will have direct bearing on the wellness and well-being and prosperity of Rivers people. But that didn't happen because no sooner had he become governor than he thought of abandoning the structure that brought him to power. Don't forget that Governor Fubara before now, was a civil servant. He was not even a member of the party.
Okay, Dr. Worlu.
But in the thinking and wisdom...
Permit me to interject. You've successfully told us that the issue in Rivers is a tussle for the control of the heart of the state between the former governor and the present governor. That's what you just mentioned. Because you said, hang on, hold on, please. Hold on, please. Hold on. You said that as soon as the governor came in, he began to abandon the structure that brought him into office. Let me ask.
Yes.
You were a former commissioner, right?
Yes.
Under Governor Fubara.
Correct.
Is it possible to say that the former governor, Wike, while bringing in Fubara, planted landmines along the way for him to ensure that he does not exceed a certain limit in his performance as the governor of the state? Is it possible?
It's not possible.
It's not possible.
But
people say that some of those landmines, can I make the point? You have time to respond. You have time to respond. All right. People say that some of those landmines include insisting that people like you are made the commissioner to ensure that the governor is put in a cage that he wouldn't go beyond this point. So, your appointment as governor wasn't Fubara's choice. It was Wike's choice. Hence, as soon as you saw a fracture in the relationship between the governor and his former principal, you'd resigned. Can you explain this properly, please?
Okay. I was saying that it is not possible and that it is not true that any landmines were planted to obstruct the performance of Governor Fubara. If anything, the ground was wet for him to perform because the former governor, apart from campaigning vigorously for him, the former governor campaigned more than the current governor for him to be governor, and all of us supported. And like I said, he was not even a member of the party. He became governor against the run of play because other party people who wanted to be governor were asked to step down for him. And the former governor, had prepared grounds that will enable him take off better than any other governor in Nigeria, because there were projects that were flagged off just before the former governor left. Those projects that had been properly designed and approvals had been gotten. Contractors had been selected based on their track records. And these are some contractors who worked with the previous administration, of which Fubara himself was a part of as Accountant General of the state. He did most of the payments, and he knows all these people as people who are competent to deliver on projects and on time. Now, the idea that because people were appointed and from the same structure that appointed him, it was the way that Fubara was appointed governor that I was appointed commissioner.
Okay.
The leaders of the party met and decided who should be what.
And the commissioners
became governor.
The commissioner is meant to work under the governor, isn't it?
Yes.
And the governor does not have a say in who becomes the commissioner under him. Go ahead.
That is not true. That is not the point I'm making. What I'm saying is that, for example, I come from the same local government as the former governor. And then you expect that every local government should have at least one commissioner. And it is the responsibility of the leaders in that local government. Don't forget that all politics is local. It is the responsibility of the leaders in that local government. And that is the way that our structure that has won elections since 1999 has operated to decide who will represent them. Because yes, Fubara is governor of Rivers State, but he will not know everybody in every local government and every corner of the state. So the way we have always done it is that the leaders of the party in the various local governments will sit and then nominate somebody for the governor to appoint. If the governor has reasons why the person cannot be appointed, he can say so. If the person goes in and is not able to perform, the governor can drop the person.
Okay.
So the issue is not about whether landmines were planted for him or whether commissioners were foisted on him. No, that is not the issue. And that is not the genesis. That's not the genesis of the problem. I'm sure the governor has not told you or anybody.
Okay, Dr. Worlu
was about how commissioners were appointed.
Dr. Worlu, this assertion or the assumption that landmines were appointed were actually reinforced by the former governor himself when he said, I quote him, "I will not allow anybody to tamper with my structure." He's no longer the governor. He is a minister. But he is saying that he will not allow anybody, including the governor, who is the chief executive of the state, and by extension, the leader of the party that brought him to power in the state. And the minister is saying that he will not allow anybody, including the governor. That's one hand. The other times, at different occasions, he had said clearly that he will make Rivers State ungovernable for that boy. He said it repeatedly. So when people conclude or put 2 and 2 together and get 22, you will not blame them that it appears that the governor never wanted, the former governor never wanted the governor to stay. But let's move on. Let's move away from that and look at what had led to what is going on now.
Why should we move away from that when what you have said is not correct?
Okay, please go ahead. Respond to that. Respond to that.
Yeah, you just made a statement that is false. Now, when you talk about structure, nobody is quarreling with the fact that His Excellency Fubara is the governor of Rivers State. But it is not true, and I don't want you to say that anywhere again, that the leader of the party is Governor Fubara. He's not the leader of the PDP in Rivers State. The leader of the PDP in Rivers State remains His Excellency Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister.
Okay.
And when we talk about structure, we are talking about the party structure, not the government structure.
Structure.
It is that party structure that decided in their wisdom that Fubara should be brought in from the civil service to become a politician and, of course, fly the flag of the party.
And when he becomes governor, he has the executive power to run the state the way he wishes. But let's move on, because we might stay here for.
It's not a problem.
Okay.
He has no problem running the state, except the one that he has brought on himself. But when we're talking about running the structure or running the party, that is not his call. Running
the structure or running the party. And the party, the structure is different from what will enhance his performance as governor. I understand this, and what you just said is part of the things that people are putting together to say that Governor Fubara, from the day he was sworn in, had a very tight rope around his waist, tied to the kitchen sink of the former governor.
Can I explain something?
Let's move on. Let's move on, Dr. Worlu. Let's move on. Let's move on. This explanation may never end.
We can't move on in error. We can't move on in error.
Okay.
You and I were here in this country when Buhari was the president of Nigeria. And the current president, Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, was the leader of the APC in Nigeria. It tells you that somebody can be the head of government, and that is not the quarrel here. But another person is the leader of the party. It happens everywhere.
How I wish you didn't make reference to. How I wish you didn't make reference to that era. How I wish you didn't make reference to that era. Because while the current president was being referred to as the national leader of APC at that time, he never interfered in who does what in the Buhari administration. That's why I said, let's move on, because the more you try to explain, the more you open up areas that would...
What do you mean by interfere? Did he not make decisions? Was he not part of decisions that were made in the party? He don't say that he didn't interfere. And don't forget that when politics came to shove, the current president said to us, all of us, that it was his turn to be president.
Yes.
That should explain to you the kind of power he wielded and still wields in the APC.
Dr. Worlu, let's move on, because the reference you just made didn't apply here. The current president was the national leader of the party, but never got involved in who became what in the Buhari administration. If he did, it was domestic. So. It wasn't in the public glare, unlike the situation in Rivers, where the former governor and people like you made it very obvious that you guys would prefer the current governor to remain a puppet. But let's move on from this and get to deeper issues.
You're not talking like a journalist.
Okay, I'm talking like a politician this time.
Yes, you should.
I'm talking like a politician like you.
Yes. You introduced me here as somebody who is knowledgeable about what is happening.
Yes.
And now I'm trying to bring you to knowledge. And you are, proving to be ineducable.
No. The point is,
correct.
Dr. Worlu.
If you ask me a question, I tell you what obtains. You don't tell me. I'm telling you that it was not possible. What you are saying, that Tinubu was leader of the APC and didn't have a say in the way the party was run. Don't forget, let me tell you now so that you will understand. Don't forget that when he was contesting for the ticket of the party, people stepped down for him, citing the fact that he nominated them into certain offices. Is that not correct also? People made reference to what he did in nominating them into offices, and that was the reason for stepping down for him.
Dr. Worlu, let's move on. Let's move on, because we'll remain in this circle for a long time without making any reasonable headway. Let's talk about...
Yes, we can move on, believing that you now understand that the party is different from the government.
Exactly.
And that when we talk about who is the leader of the party in Rivers State, it is Ezenwoye Sowike. And when you say who is the leader of the government in Rivers State, that's Governor Joseph Fubara.
Okay. Let's move on. At least you'll be satisfied with this. I mean, you've made your point very clearly. The viewers have the responsibility of deciding to know which one is which. But let's move.
I'm sure that if this question is put to you tomorrow and you answer it this way, you will score 100 over 100.
Your own perspective. Let's move on, Dr. Worlu. The tenure of local government chairmen in Rivers or across the federation, everywhere in the country, as far as the law is concerned, is stipulated. It is stipulated. And when it becomes an issue that the tenure of local government chairmen ran out and close to the time is running out, in collaboration with the State House of Assembly, all of them answerable to that same source, the former governor manipulated things and came up with whatever the law was called to ensure that they stay longer in office. Some people had said that it's not democratic because the tenure is stipulated. I mean, it's simple that it has to end at a certain time, and one day after that becomes an aberration. Do you agree that there could be circumstances that will lead to the extension of the tenure of, for instance, the governor of Rivers State beyond May 29, 2027? Do you agree, or do you think that there could be conditions that will lead to the extension of the tenure of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria when we are not in war beyond May 29, 2027? Do you think so?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I think so because the Constitution that gives vent to tenure also gave vent to when elections should be conducted.
In the case of the local government election, in the case of the local government.
Listen, can you excuse me?
Yeah, you go ahead.
The law is clear. The law did not say that local government the law that says that local government should run for 3 years also says that elections should be periodically conducted to fill in the offices before the expiration of every tenure. It is like that for the governor, it is like that for the president. So if, for example, INEC refuses to conduct election to fill in the office of the president and the tenure of the president expires, what do you think will happen? I'm putting this now to you. What do you think will happen?
No, here I asked the questions, you did answering. Mine is to ask and you answer.
I can also ask you a question, can't I?
No. Answer the questions I put to you.
I can't ask you. Now, the point is this.
Yes.
Before the end of the tenure of local government chairman, elections ought to have been conducted in Rivers State. The governor ought to have released funds to the State Electoral Commission and mandated them, just like he has done recently after the appointment of caretaker committee, for them to conduct election so that people who are elected in a democratic process can man the local government at the end of the tenure of the incumbent chairman.
Okay.
But he chose not to do so.
Okay. And then the former chairman stayed put and refused to go.
Listen, he chose not to do so. So the question is, when you talk about acts that are, in your opinion, unconstitutional or undemocratic, which one comes first? Is it the refusal to conduct election, to fill in, to elect people so that when the tenure of the current people expires, those people can take over, or the decision that if election is not conducted, that the tenure of these people should be extended so that when election is conducted, new people can take over from them? Which one comes first as an offense?
Okay, we'll come back to this conversation.
And I can tell you that that decision by the House of Assembly to extend the tenure of chairman followed the normal process of lawmaking. It followed the normal process. It was passed as a law and sent to the governor for assent. It was when he refused to assent to it that they vetoed him, and it became law.
Okay, let's.
Now it is on the basis of that the chairman, stepped back.
Okay.
Until what has happened now happened.
Okay, we'll come back to this.
Has stopped both the former chairman and the CTC chairman and their members from accessing the councils.
We'll come back to this. We're going to go on a very quick break. But what it appears now is that jam illegality in Rivers, and maybe some people may begin to look at it as rivers of illegality. But we'll clear all of that.
It is legality.
We'll clear all of that when we come back from the break.
It in illegality.
Okay, we'll come back to all of that after the break. Right now, we're going to go on a very quick break. When we return, Politics HQ will continue. In the last 20 minutes or so, we've been discussing the issues in Rivers State as political situation in the state where a lot of uncertainty have been hovering in the air. No one appears to know what will happen next. Just a few days ago, or yesterday particularly, to be precise, a bomb detonated somewhere, and what we hear today is that the man suspected to be behind the act is being attended to somewhere in a hospital because he is the only victim that came out with injuries from that plot he had for himself. And we also getting reactions after some leading senators paid a visit to the Governor Fubara, where he told them point blank, if we have that sound bite from the governor, it won't be a bad idea for us to listen to it so that my guest, Dr. Gift Worlu, may listen and react to some of the things that the governor had said, if we have it.
Ordinarily, I wouldn't have. As a matter of fact, I don't like going into this issue of peace, problem. But because the chairman of this committee has mentioned it, I would like to say a few things so that the record will be straight and correct. Whatever situation we find ourselves today in this state, you all know the cause of it. where on earth can tenure of a local government chairman be elongated? You were a former governor. Was it tried in your time? Even those of you that are senators here, even in your own state, is it that the constitution that governs Nigeria is different from the one that operates in River State? Those are the questions, very pertinent questions we should ask. Why should it be that when it comes to the case of River State, the law is always silent? Is just that there is somebody bigger than Nigeria? That is the question I want you to go with. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, I know everything that is happening. Yesterday, while they are aware that you were here, there was an attempt to create heavy problem. In fact, there was a plan to dynamite the presidential hotel because you people were there. But this God that we serve, it happened that the man who was trying to do it, it happened just a few seconds as blew his hand off. It happened in front of. The idea was when you are hearing state of emergency, it's so that by the time they finish.
Governor Fubara right there addressing his guests from the Senate. And it's quite interesting the way politicians refer to God at each point and every moment. It leaves some of us that are out there watching in awe as the level of godliness we have in politics. But let's bring in our guests who had been with us for the past 20-something minutes. Dr. Gift Worlu, he was a former commissioner in Rivers State and a member of the PDP. Thank you so much for staying, Dr. Worlu. We would like to begin to wrap it now because a lot of people, after hearing all the issues you raised and how the governor had violated the code that brought him into power, people will be asking, what next? What is the hope? What is the faith of the state? Where lies the peace that a lot of people are expecting to be restored in Rivers again? So I'll come to you with that direct question. What do you think will bring back peace in Rivers, a state that is very critical in the economy of Nigeria and even politically too? Where and how can the peace be restored, Dr. Worlu?
Okay, so if there is peace in Rivers State today, the greatest beneficiary will be the governor, because that will mean that he will have the atmosphere to unleash his programs and vision to move the state forward. I agree with you, this problem has cost Rivers State so much. In fact, even if it ends now, it will take several years for us to recover. And I know that this problem was brought upon us by the failure of the current governor to govern the way it should be, knowing that he did not become governor on his own, knowing that
I'm sorry to interject. We're pressed with time. How do we get praise?
You don't distort my thoughts.
How do we restore peace, please? We are pressed with time.
Yes. I'm saying that if we at a point, we went to the president, our father in this country, we intervened. He was called by the governor to intervene, and he did. And he told us the path to follow. Unfortunately, the governor did not follow that path. Instead, over time, he declared that the jungle had matured and that he was ready to do battle with the people who helped him to become governor. So if he wants peace, I believe that he knows what to do. He knows exactly what to do. And if he does that, I'm sure that other people are willing and will be reasonable enough in the interest of the state and the people of the state to work with him to bring about the much needed development in our state.
Okay.
Currently, our state is lagging behind in so many areas.
Okay.
And that shouldn't be the case.
Okay, Dr.
Like
Worlu.
I said, a template was given to him for how to run the state very effectively. But he abandoned all of that and chose his own path. And as you know, people who sow wind will naturally reap whirlwind.
Okay, we need to end it here. A template was given to him. Maybe if Governor Fubara's handlers are watching, they should advise him to go and look for that template and stick to it. His boss gave him a template on how to govern Rivers State, and he deviated from it, thinking that he would be a man.
His boss.
Thinking that he will be a man of his own.
It's
not possible in this circumstance and situation. He must play by the books that was handed over to him. Okay, the party. Okay, fine. The template is there. Whether party or boss, I mean, that's just...
Not his boss.
Okay, fine.
It is the party that has a leadership, that has a vision that he is supposed to follow.
Okay. The party leader in Rivers State gave him a template to follow. So he's deviated from it. He must go back there.
I didn't say party
that may
leader.
Be...
I told you that the party...
Okay.
I told you the party.
Okay, let's let it be. Thank you so much. Let's let it be, Dr. Worlu. Thank you so much for giving us your time on Politics HQ. It's been a wonderful conversation, and I believe a lot of us got more insight to what is going on in Rivers, and we appreciate your commitment. Several times you've been here, and we hope you keep coming until peace is fully and finally restored in Rivers. Thank you so much, Dr. Worlu. Okay, we'll take a very quick break again and come back. When we return, we'll be driving up north to Kaduna State. You will get all our details when we return. Stay.